The details about that night that bring me here today are the ones I will never forget. They have been seared into my memory and have haunted me episodically as an adult.
I swear today, under oath, before the Senate and the nation, before my family and God, I am innocent of this charge.
We're continuing to cover today's Senate hearings for Judge Brett Kavanaugh, probably the most dramatic in the lifetime of anyone watching. What's the political effect of this? Jonathan Turley is a professor at George Washington University School of Law and a measured observer of all things political, and he joins us tonight. Professor, given that the fact set for this case is so tiny, we don't really know that much, we don't know a lot more now than we did this morning, does this change the calculation of the case? Did you learn anything?
Well, I actually thought he gained a lot of ground. If the vote had been taken right after Dr. Ford finished, I think he might have lost.
Yes.
But he regained that ground. It was a difficult needle to thread because he could only be on defense. He couldn't be seen as going on offense against her. But he ended up going on offense just against the committee Democrats. And
yes,
it worked very, very well. And I think that what people saw in that anger was a certain genuine quality. They saw Brett Kavanaugh for the first time. I think he came off rather wooden and even robotic in his original confirmation hearing. And there was nothing particularly practiced here. I mean, people saw very raw anger. And in that way, he didn't become sort of the Michael Dukakis of judicial confirmations. You know, if someone accuses you of being a rapist, people expect you to be angry, and he certainly was.
I had no idea, just speaking for myself as an observer and not a friend, I had no idea that was within Brett Kavanaugh.
Neither did I, quite frankly. Well, when he came in, I was like, whoa, he didn't even look like the Brett Kavanaugh that I've met through the years. He was clearly going to take this over himself.
So you're a law professor, and you said you've met him a number of times. The legal community in D.C. at the high level is pretty small. Mm-hmm. Is there any debate between left and right or anyone else about his legal qualifications for this job?
No. He's highly, highly respected, and lawyers give him very high marks as an appellate judge. And this is very uncharacteristic for him. I mean, he is not known as someone who is very emotive, somebody who gets angry. It's quite to the contrary. He has a reputation for being very polite and civil to everyone. So this was a genuine moment, but maybe an uncharacteristic one for him.
I just wonder, since you've watched all of these confirmation hearings going back so far, they once took place on the sort of level of principle and law. We argued about what a nominee believed. And now, increasingly, we're arguing about the soul of the nominee, whether he's a good person or not.
Yeah, what troubles me is this mantra that was being repeated, that this is not a trial, that this is a job interview. This is a man being accused of a serious crime. I wrote a piece in The Hill saying that it's wrong to say there's no standard of review here. You have to have some standard to look at this evidence, some point in which a nominee is either presumed guilty or innocent in this type of scandal. I've suggested a clear preponderance standard, but I don't even think this evidence would meet the mere preponderance of evidence standard. It's not even over the 50% mark. Now, maybe there's some more support there, but at the end of the day, you have to look at this, and there is a lack of corroboration. I thought Dr. Ford performed well. I thought she came off quite compelling, but at the end of the day, you have to look at whether there is that corroboration, and it's not there.
Right.
And so I think that these senators will have a tough decision to make. But if they make it on the evidence, then they'll return to the original question of merit. Does this man have the qualifications to be a Supreme Court justice?
You'd like to think that's where the debate would have remained. Professor, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Besides Christine Ford and Kavanaugh himself, the chief figure of today's hearing was the Arizona prosecutor, Rachel Mitchell. Did she ask the right questions or miss anything important? Possibly a rhetorical question. Francie Hakes is a former DOJ National Coordinator for Child Exploitation Prevention and Interdiction, and she joins us tonight. As I watched these hearings today, I kept thinking how alone Brett Kavanaugh was. I'm not attacking the prosecutor who asked the questions on behalf of Republican senators in the first half, but Kavanaugh seemed to be the only one making a case for Kavanaugh.
You know, Tucker, unfortunately, I agree with you. Although the way I look at it is that Kavanaugh was the only person even trying to challenge the allegations, which I think was the role of Miss Mitchell. And while I think she did a couple of things well, establishing possible political bias in the sense of the delay of the hearing, you know, this ridiculous allegation that she was afraid to fly, she certainly blew that one out of the water. And this elucidation of the issue of whether or not Ms. Ford or Dr. Ford delayed, in her own words, coming forward with this information. She said that she knew about Brett Kavanaugh's position on the short list and that she was determined to prevent his nomination. And yet somehow this PhD was unable to figure out how to call either of her two senators, both of whom sit on the Judiciary Committee. So I thought Ms. Mitchell did a good job with that. But when it came to asking about the allegations, I was shocked when she told Dr. Ford that she would not be asking her about those allegations at all, and she didn't.
Right. It's like buying a new car but not mentioning price. I have to say, on the plane thing, though, I wondered about. I mean, she established that Christine Ford has flown an awful lot. But I thought what she could have teased out a little bit is why she lied about it in this case. We can't come to Washington to testify because she can't get on an airplane. This had a politically significant effect, delaying the confirmation of Kavanaugh. That's a lie. Why is nobody saying that?
Well, I don't know. And I thought Judge Kavanaugh did a brilliant job of explaining what that delay has meant to him, his family, and his reputation and their future. You know, prosecutors like to say, don't ask a question you don't know the answer to, so don't ask a why question. All trained prosecutors know that that's just garbage. You have to ask questions you don't know the answer to. That's what happens in every trial. You often don't know the answer. She should have challenged Dr. Ford, and she did not.
Right. Yeah, I noticed. I was grinding my teeth throughout. Francie Hicks, thank you very much.
Thanks, Tucker.
Well, the media...